let our minds explore other possibilities, to use our imaginations. For if we consider that astroscientists agree on one point, that the possibility of life elsewhere is not only quite probable, some feel it is there without a doubt. Let us suppose then that these objects are real space vehicles, extraterrestrial in origin, and not an illusion of the mind.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.
Welcome to Somewhere in the Live Stream. I am your host, Ryan Sprague, and hello to all our regulars out there. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood tonight. Starting off with a bang, guys. This is going to be a fun one. Look, we missed last week. I had a lot going on. It was my dad's birthday, so a very happy birthday to Doug Sprague. He just celebrated his birthday over there in the States. So if he comes in the chat tonight, be sure to give him a happy birthday. And yeah, he had a great time. Dinner was had, beers were clinked, and everything in between. Guy had a great time. He got some Detroit Lions cupcakes made for him, which I saw some photos of. So yeah. Big day for him. And a big day for us, guys. We're back with another live stream. We try to do this every Sunday, where we break down all the latest UFO news, space news, and everything in between. But yeah, we thought it was going to be a light week. Suzanne, our incredible moderator, is with us as always. We were talking, we talk all week, trying to compile all the UFO news, get it all in one cohesive place for you guys every Sunday. And not a lot going on. So we decided, you know what? Screw it. We're just going to do a live Ask Me Anything, which we're still going to do tonight. We are still going to do that. However, we did find enough stories to really jam into this one. So I'm not going to waste any more time. We're going to get to those news stories in just a minute. But I do want to say hello to all our regulars out there. I see Robert, Gareth, Donnie Falls is here. Andrew is here. Hello to Jay Rosenberg. Dalen is here. Amanda, welcome. Made it to a live. Hi, everyone. Hello. Hello to Robert Zimmer. Kurt is here. Jay Lilly. Susan is here. Who else we got? Did I say Gareth? Hi, Gareth. Nisa is here making them donuts. Hello to Duncan. The biologist is here. Pat Gallagher is here. Cheers, buddy. I got my beer just for you, my man. We're going with a John Smith again. Extra smooth tonight. Delish. Hello to Jeffrey Tomlin. Libra Carde is here. Libra Arcade. I can't say that. Hello to Riney Horn. Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here, guys. Super chat and super stickers are open tonight if you would like to help out the show. This is a very quick way you can do that. And we have a goal of 5 super chats tonight. Doesn't matter. Big, small, we don't care. We'll take them. We put our goal at 5 super chats. So if we reach that goal of 5 super chats tonight, then I am going to do for you guys a top 5 list next week of something. I haven't decided exactly what yet, but I will do that live here on YouTube at some point next week. That's if we reach our goal of 5 super chats or super stickers tonight to help support all the work we do here. But no more begging for money. I am begging you for ratings and reviews. That's right. If you're listening to this in the future, we put this out on the main feed of the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. And I would love if each and every one of you could go over to Apple or Spotify and rate and review the Somewhere in the Spies. Ooh, espionage. Oh, that's going to have something to do with the little story we're talking about tonight. Yeah, there's a reason I have Mirage Men front and center on my bookshelf tonight. We'll get to that. Somewhere in the Skies is the podcast that I have been doing for 8 years. Rate and review over on Apple and Spotify if possible. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate that. While you're at it, rate and review Somewhere in the Ring, my wrestling podcast. We just had a big pay-per-view, PLE, whatever you want to call it, big event happened on WWE last night out of Toronto, the Elimination Chamber. The Rock showed up, John Cena was there, and it was one of the most historic moments in WWE history. I will spare you. We're going to get to UFOs. One other thing. I want to thank everyone who reached out to me. I was on Ancient Aliens this past week. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I never really know when I'm going to be on. So it's always a pleasant surprise when people reach out and say, hey, you were on Ancient Aliens tonight. Yeah, so I had no idea. So that was pretty cool. It was called Ancient Aliens, the top 10 UFO crashes. And I was babbling on there about some UFO crash. I'm not sure which one, but I had a bunch of people reach out and say they saw me on there. So a huge thank you to everyone who watched. If you do want to watch it, it's season 21, episode 3. Yes, you heard that right. Ancient Aliens is on their 21st season. It's not even Ancient Aliens anymore. It's just aliens. Episode 3, season 21. You can watch that right now on the History Channel app or however that works. I don't know. Hulu. Is it on Hulu? I don't know. I don't know how these things work. That was awesome. Very interesting. Thank you. Appreciate that, guys. Let's see here. Clicked like, Duncan says, hint, hint. Yes, hit that like button too. Thank you, guys. Oh yeah, I always forget this. Suzanne's so good at this, putting up the buy me a coffee QR code on your screen here if you're watching this. We'll have a PayPal one too. You can always just scan those codes and donate to the show that way as well. Tell you what, I will check those during our commercial break. And if we have any of those will count towards our goal of 5 tonight. So thank you, guys. Thank you. David says we're only on season 2 of Ancient Aliens in Germany. You guys are really, really behind over there, huh? That's crazy. Season 2? At least it's still Ancient Aliens in season 2. Giorgio's hair isn't as crazy either. It just gets taller every season. Have you noticed that? Crazy, crazy stuff. All right, guys. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to the news. I'm going to bring in our slideshow, and we're starting with a fun story. Some of our UK viewers, listeners might know who this is on their screen. No, that's not me. That is not me. Although some might think it is. This is a gentleman named Gideon Allen. And this story, this is a fun one. We're gonna have some fun at the top of the show here. Man believes his powers attract UFOs to Liverpool, UK. Now, the reason I want to talk about this story, guys, is because of all the stuff going on right now with psionics. You know, vectoring in, summoning. That's the word being touted. Summoning UFOs. Stephen Greer's been doing it for decades. You got that new group, the Egg Boys, doing it over there at Skywatcher. Can we call them that? The Egg Boys? I like that. So I thought, why not? Let's cover this story. Gideon Allen believes he can attract UFOs specifically to Liverpool in the UK. Gideon Allen, a 26-year-old practicing witch and television personality, claimed that as he made his way through the city center of Liverpool in the UK recently, he began to feel strangely watched. Recalling his experience to The Echo, which is a news site here in the UK, he stated the following. At first, I thought it was just my imagination, but then something caught my eye. High in the sky, a flashing orb, about 6 to 8 feet in size. It shimmered and it was flickering between colors. The way it moved left me speechless. It didn't glide like a plane or hover like a helicopter. It zigzagged, stopped on a dime, and darted in every direction. I stood frozen, unable to fully comprehend what I was witnessing. I'm laughing because of the next sentence. I was severely hungover and I thought I was hallucinating. I thought it could either be dehydration or alcohol that was causing me to have hallucinations. So I pulled out my phone and began recording what was in front of me. I knew I needed proof. If I hadn't captured it, I might have convinced myself it was just a hallucination. As I tracked the craft with my eyes, I sent voice notes to my friends. You won't believe this, I said, trying to describe what was happening. I followed it as far as I could, but eventually it disappeared over the docks. The entire experience felt otherworldly, as though it wasn't just a random sighting, but something purposeful, intentional even. I've always had a heightened sense, a sort of seventh sense, that makes me attuned to things others might miss. I can't shake the feeling that the craft was just floating around, wasn't just floating around aimlessly. It was looking for something, maybe even me. It felt personal. Perhaps I scared it off, or maybe it wanted to learn more about me. This isn't my first encounter with the extraordinary. Over the years, I've shared my supernatural experiences on several television shows, but this UFO sighting feels different. It, excuse me, guys, sorry. It feels like a sign, the beginning of something much bigger. The more we talk about these experiences, the closer we get to understanding them. I believe Liverpool could be on the verge of becoming a UFO hotspot, especially with my supernatural abilities pulling them in. For now, I'll keep watching the skies. Something is out there, and I'm ready for whatever comes next. And if the aliens do decide to abduct me, well, I wouldn't complain. Frankly, I can't cope with the men on this planet, anyways. Why not one from another world? Besides, who wouldn't want to journey across the stars? So there you go, guys. Gideon Allen, 26 years old, living in Liverpool, UK, television guy. He believes that with his magic, his witchcraft, his supernatural abilities, that he can summon UFOs. What do you think? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Again, like I just thought this would be fun to bring up since, all the talk of the town lately is this psionic stuff. The men might be hotter from Zeta Reticuli, Dalen says, right? That seems to be Gideon's reasoning for wanting to get abducted too. Someone needs to put him on one of those Marvel jails with the handcuffs and shackles. That's mean. Come on. Come on. Oh man, the egocentrism of UFO sightings, Duncan says. I understand what you're saying. It comes off a little egocentric that he's like, it was there for me. Maybe it was there for me. But that is a common thread amongst those who witness UFOs. Like we might poke fun at like him thinking he attracts UFOs specifically to, Liverpool in the UK or whatnot. But I do believe he legitimately saw this. Like saw what? An orb, a couple orbs. I have an image on the screen here of 3 orbs. It's just a stock image, by the way, if you couldn't tell. But a lot of people believe that these things were there. They were a display for them, sometimes only them. So I'm not going to take that away from him. UFO sightings are a deeply personal experience, subjective, very subjective, and also very personal. Speaking from experience, so yeah. Anyways, thought that'd be a fun little story to start with, but we're not done with UFO sightings with people who have been on television, guys. Because we are moving to the one and only Woody Harrelson. This story has been making the rounds lately, and the heck, I'm sorry. Why is there a lemon on my desk? There's just a random lemon here. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, back to our story. Um, Woody Harrelson revealed a freaky childhood UFO encounter. This comes to us from the Stephen Colbert Show, actually. Woody Harrelson was recently on the Stephen Colbert Show in the United States, and the topic of aliens, UFOs, came up. And Woody Harrelson had a pretty interesting story to tell. So I'm going to go ahead and play this clip from the Stephen Colbert Show for you guys right now. And this is going to kind of dovetail into a topic I want to discuss with you guys. A topic that's fascinated me for years, something I personally come across in my own research and investigations into UFO cases, and some pretty famous ones as well. But we're going to use Woody Harrelson's freaky childhood UFO encounter as our springboard for what I want to talk about. So let's go ahead and give this a watch. Is it not playing? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and upload it for you guys. For some reason, these videos aren't playing. We ran into this issue before, but we always fix it. Ready? Here we go.
Was about alien abduction. And I'm just curious, do you believe in aliens?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Have you had
open-minded.
an experience with any of that?
Have I had an alien experience?
It's a simple question, Woody. Have you had an alien experience?
You're really asking me if I had an alien experience.
Yes, I'm asking you, I'm not saying have you been abducted, but have you
Right.
if you have been abducted, that would be a great time to tell me. But like, have you like seen a UFO? Have you like had it? Because I've seen stuff I can't explain.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then
In
I'll
the
admit I have.
All right, let's hear it.
I wasn't abducted.
No, but what did you see?
Well, maybe I was abducted and forgot or something.
Exactly.
No, what I saw was, I think it was around 74, and I was living
50
in
years ago.
Ohio, 50 years ago.
Okay.
And I was living in Ohio, and suddenly I noticed like everybody's out in the street. And so I went out, and we look up. It was nighttime, and there were these lights that were just like kind of blinking, and then it would just shoot all the way across the sky, right? And then there'd be one over there, shoot over here, and there were several. They just kept going across the sky, and everybody, we watched it for a while. It took a few minutes, and then finally just went somewhere else, some other world, and nobody talked about it. Like literally,
Nobody on the news
everybody just
said-
went inside and said nothing.
I'm on mute. There you go. Freaky childhood UFO encounter of Woody Harrelson. And he seemed very genuine about it. That last part, that's what I want to talk about. He said everyone went inside and didn't talk about it. What is that? This is something I've come across so much in my work. This idea of like an instant amnesia almost that takes place when seeing a UFO. Now, clearly, it doesn't happen to everybody. I remembered my sighting immediately. Never left my mind. Had nightmares for weeks after. But I've come across a lot of cases where people saw what they saw, and then boom. It's like their mind went blank. And they just went back to everyday life. Now, could this be some sort of defense mechanism of the brain? It just can't process what's going on. Therefore, it simply negates it immediately. Possibly. I mean, I'm no psychiatrist. I don't know if that's possible. But it happens a lot. One of the biggest cases where this occurred was the 1997 Phoenix Lights incident. And I have some quotes here, actually. This came to us from MUFON, actually, the Mutual UFO Network. Now, back when the Phoenix Lights incident happened, thousands of people reported these things to police, to the military, to MUFON, everywhere. National UFO Reporting Center. Everyone's phone lines were just flooded when this thing was happening. And while thousands of those people recorded what they saw and remembered what they saw immediately, some didn't. And this is interesting. So I'm going to read a little bit here. The Phoenix Lights, where many witnesses afterwards reported temporary amnesia, their memories of the incident going completely blank immediately after seeing the lights and returning nonchalantly to whatever they had been doing. One of the witnesses, according to a MUFON report, recalled how a group of people had pulled over, got out of their cars, and watched a craft slowly glide over their heads. And after it happened, they told the MUFON field investigator, quote, "Not a word was spoken. After it went by, everyone got in their car and drove home." Another Phoenix Lights witness also said, "Yeah, we looked up, me and my wife, we saw the craft, big V-shaped craft, floated silently over our heads, and we just went back to drinking our tea." Ugh, it just gives me the creeps. Like, what is that? What is that? The reason I bring up the Phoenix Lights is we did an episode of the live stream, I don't know, a couple months ago now, where we covered celebrities who had seen UFOs. And one of the celebrities was none other than actor Kurt Russell. And I know we've covered it in the past. We'll probably cover it again. We're covering it again tonight. Kurt Russell was the first pilot to report the Phoenix Lights. Crazy. I'm going to go ahead and play the clip that's made the rounds from the BBC. He was promoting one of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And the host brought up the Phoenix Lights. And Kurt Russell had a pretty interesting story to tell. And it will circle back to what we're talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you guys. And yeah, we're going to continue with this interesting topic of UFOs and amnesia on the other side. Give this a watch.
It's in Arizona. An unidentified pilot, according to the press cuttings, flying near an airport in Arizona with his son when he spotted 6 lights in the night sky. So he called from the aeroplane to air traffic control to say, "I'm seeing these lights here. I wasn't expecting any other planes. They're none supposed to be on my landing path. Can you tell me what's going on?" They said, "There are no other planes." He said, "I'm seeing 6 bright lights coming towards me." Mystery unresolved.
Except,
Oh?
tail number for that plane was Bonanza 2 Tango Sierra, and I was the pilot. No, way. Oliver and I.
Yes, take us back. Doesn't say that in the briefing.
Oliver and I.
I should have read to the end.
Oliver and I were flying in. I was flying him to go see his girlfriend, and we were on approach, and I saw 6 lights over the airport in absolute uniform in a V shape, and Oliver said to me, I was just looking at him, and I was coming in. We're maybe a half a mile out, and Oliver said, "Pa, what are those lights?" And I then it kind of like came out of my reverie, and I said, "I don't know what they are." I said, he said, "Are we okay here?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna call him," and I reported it. And they said, "We're not painting anything. We don't show anything." I said, "Well, okay, I'm going to declare it's unidentified, it's flying, and it's 6 objects." We landed. I taxied, dropped him off, took off, went back to L.A. Never said a word. He never said a word. I never thought of it. 2 years later, Goldie is watching a television show when I came home.
Yeah.
And the show is on UFOs. But as I came home, "Hey, honey, how's it going?" And I'm kind of hearing the TV going, and I stopped and I started watching, and it was on that event. Now, that was the most viewed UFO event. Over 20,000 people saw that. And I'm watching this, and I'm feeling like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It's like, why do I know this? You know what? And it's not clear to me. And finally, I said. Then they said a pilot reported it. A general aviation pilot reported it on landing. I'd never thought of it since then, and I said, that was me. That was me. And I said, wait a minute, I'll go to my logbooks. So I went to my logbooks, and there was the flight at that time, and I didn't mention anything about the UFO. The fascinating part of that to me is that it just went literally out of my head. Yeah. And Oliver never mentioned it. And had I not seen that show, I'd have never thought of it again.
Amazing.
Now, that to me was the weird part.
Wow. It's like he completely forgot the event even happened. Look, I know actors have busy lives. Like, they got a lot going on. They have a lot they have to keep in their brain, like memorizing an entire movie script and whatnot. But like, it's just crazy to me that he was the first pilot to report it. He lands, he goes home, and then it wasn't until 2 years later when like the memory was triggered again when he saw a UFO show talking about the Phoenix Lights, and they literally were talking about him in this documentary. Like, a civilian pilot reported it. Crazy stuff. But what he said at the end there, again, about like the weird thing is that we didn't really ever talk about it or remember it, basically. I mean, how do you forget a mass UFO sighting that thousands of people saw? It's just, again, crazy, crazy stuff. I'm going to talk about another case here. Another pretty interesting case from a MUFON report from 2023 to kind of bring home this whole thing. So this happened in 2023 in Hall's Corners in Wisconsin. And the witness stated, a few nights ago, my husband and I were driving, and at first I thought, it was a huge light on a pole, but then I saw lights go on around an object and it rose up and blinked out. I clearly saw a saucer with lights, one by one in quick order, showing its shape and size before rising quickly to blink out. I asked my husband if he had seen this as well, and he said he wasn't sure what he saw. This really irritated me because it was clear as day. There was no room for debate. And then, in this moment of overwhelming excitement and awe, we immediately switched to feeling calm somehow, and it left us with no memory whatsoever. It was a few days later when it hit me out of nowhere, but it was just distress, not wonder or awe. Something manipulated our thoughts. I wasn't supposed to remember it, but I'm grateful I was with someone who could corroborate it. But I felt violated. What happened to us? Ooh. You know, we had Jacques Vallée on the show not too long ago, and a lot of his previous work, he talks about this idea of like a control system. Now, that could be taken many different ways. A control system of, a conspiracy of men and women controlling a narrative when it comes to UFOs. We'll get to it. It could mean by the source of said UAP. Do they harness the power or the technology to manipulate one's mind, one's perception? It's just, it fascinates me. I can't pretend to have answers. It's just a topic I wanted to broach with you guys because I just think it's so cool. The last case I'm going to share with you that really, really hits home to me is a case I personally investigated with all of this. Now, if you've read either of my books, this case is covered extensively in both of my books because it's one of the most impactful cases that I've ever personally investigated. And that's the case of Scott Santa. I think I have. Yeah, I do. So Scott is a retired radioman first class for the Coast Guard. He's also a retired Postal Service worker and also a former MUFON field investigator. And something happened in the summer of 1974 in Cuyahoga Falls in Ohio in the United States. Scott was at a drive-in movie theater with a friend, and just before the movie is about to begin, Scott noticed something above the movie screen. He asks his friend if he sees it too, And the friend says, yeah, what the hell is that? And this is what they saw. The object was pitch black, no distinguishing features. It was boomerang shaped, and it was massive. So if you're just listening to this in the future, I have on here a picture of Scott and what he saw. This is an artist rendition I had exclusively made according to Scott's description. And what you're looking at here on YouTube is just a delta-shaped, not so much delta, what's the word? Yeah, I guess delta-shaped craft. No lights, pitch black. Massive, huge. From tip to tip, it covered the entire parking lot, Scott told me. Really? Michael Huntington says that Rod Serling was from... Actually, I think Rod Serling was from Syracuse, New York, Michael, if I'm not mistaken. Serling was born in Syracuse, Michael said. Okay, yeah. That's what I thought. He's one of our tried and true Orangemen. So Scott said of this object, it coasted over the parking lot and all the lights in the venue went dead. People tried starting their cars, but nobody's engines would turn over. But the night's strange events seemed, while the night's strange events seemed to be over when the craft floated off into a distant field, Scott realized that far weirder things were to come. So after the craft disappeared, all the lights went back on, like all kind of just burst back to life. And the movie began to play, and Scott and his friend just sat there silent watching as if nothing had just happened. And apparently so had everyone else in the parking lot. Scott told me nobody, and I mean nobody, was running around asking questions or doing anything about what had just happened. Everyone just sat in their damn cars and continued to watch this movie. Scott said at one point he went to use the restroom and he remembered waiting in line and everyone just stood there, silent, waiting to pee, waiting to go get concessions. Not talking about the massive boomerang delta-shaped craft that had just floated effortlessly, silently over the movie theater. Just insane. I'm still talking to Scott all the time. He might be watching this right now, actually. I told him we were going to be talking about it. I cover this case in all my lectures. There's a whole other half to this story that I won't get into here. But one of the biggest struggles, as most UFO witnesses butt up against, is other witnesses. And here you are at a packed movie theater, sold out, hundreds and hundreds of people there. And nobody apparently remembered this thing happening. Scott and his friend watched the movie. They went home, never talked about it again. Couldn't talk about it because Scott didn't freaking remember it happening. Immediately. It wasn't until years later when his memory was triggered by the cover of a UFO book. A book by Edward Ruppelt on Project Blue Book. And boom, he saw a craft in the book or on the cover, something like that. I have to go back and look at the case. And this entire memory just flooded in of everything. Being at the theater, the craft, everything. Man. And this tore this man up. Like, there have been so many times I've talked to Scott, and for many years, he was just like, I just wish one more person would come forward and talk about this. I mean, I did so much I tried to do so much work on this. The drive-in movie theater's long gone at this point. So it's not like I could go talk to anyone that had worked there or anything like that. I looked through all the newspapers during like a 6-month circumference or span of when this event happened that summer in 74. And I put out calls to all the local newspapers there. I tried to find other witnesses. Nothing. So this event rested on the shoulders of one man, Scott Santa. And it tore him apart. Because he wanted people to believe him. And he stopped talking about it because no one would believe him. Because the hundreds of people that saw it, not a single one could back up the story. That changed a couple of years ago. Someone read my book, read Scott's story. And while we can't definitively prove it, while we can't 100% confidently say that they saw this exact thing at the exact time as Scott, we're pretty damn sure. I'll go into detail on that another time. But yeah, we do believe we found another witness who can corroborate his story. And man, was he happy about that. But again, it's just this idea of like what is it? What is it in like memory with these things? Memory's faulty. Like there's probably things that I am misremembering about my own sighting. Hell, Alex Dietrich and David Fravor are probably misremembering things of what they witnessed when they saw the Tic Tac. Like these things in our heads are not perfect. And they change. What's that saying? They say like your memory of something is nothing but a memory of the last memory you had of that event. So you're playing that whole mirror, staring in the mirror, staring in the mirror, staring in the mirror until it gets smaller and more distorted. So I understand when people say that, like, memory is not the best indicator of how an event truly happened. But you know what? Sometimes it's all we have. And sometimes we don't even get that because of events like this. And what is it? I don't know. I can't pretend to know. I'm throwing it out to you guys. What is it with UFOs in memory? Let me know in the comments below. That was the most YouTube-y thing I've ever said. Hey guys, hit that like button, subscribe. Kisses. I see you laughing, Suzanne. I told you I was in a weird mood, guys. Where'd that lemon go? I threw it. I just thought this is so interesting, guys. We're done with talking about UFOs in memory, but there's one more clip I want to show you. Hey, Ryan, this is Nicola from your Patreon. How is it going? Hello, Nicola. Welcome. Welcome to all our Patreon subscribers. If any of you guys are here, I got something special for our Patreon subscribers coming very soon. I might talk about it at the end here. So welcome. Welcome, my friend. It's good to have you here. Oh, thank you, Suzanne. Yeah, guys, if you want to help support us, Patreon is always an option. Patreon.com/SummerSkies. We just did a massive tier list video. I'll talk about that at the end of the show. But spoiler alert, I talked about over 60 UFO and alien related movies. And I did one of those tier list things. It was so much fun. The patrons got it first. It's right here on YouTube now. Everyone can watch it if you want. But we do stuff like that. We will be doing a lot of stuff like that as well in the near future over on Patreon. So, yeah, come join our fun community over there. And come join our Discord as well. Link in the show notes for our Discord, where we continue these conversations right after here. Boom. Little tangent there. Sorry, guys. Welcome, Nicola. Good to have you, buddy. It's just more high strangeness, Ryan, in it. Pat Gallagher says, absolutely, man. Okay. One more clip. We're rewinding back to the Phoenix Lights. I had no idea about this. I was doing some research today when I was looking up the Kurt Russell clip. Another celebrity saw the Phoenix Lights. 3 years later in Arizona. Crazy stuff. Crazy, crazy stuff. Guess who it was? Alice Cooper, baby! Give this a watch.
Was to drive the brand new Aston Martin to Los Angeles where I was going to record. And I thought, well, the best time to drive that would be late at night. I told my wife I'm going to drive in at about 11 o'clock at night and I'll avoid all the traffic and I can let the car out a little bit out in the desert and see what it'll do. So I got about as far as just before Blythe, and I was still in Arizona. And I just happened to notice something out of the corner of my eye. And I looked up on the left, and it was the same thing that everybody saw in 1997 on the left, and it was moving. I would say that was probably southwest. It was moving southwest, and there was no noise at all. And I watched it and watched it, and I stopped the car in the middle of the desert. I called my wife and I said, Cheryl, I said, I'm looking at the Phoenix Lights right now. I said, and it's moving out very, very, you know, like I said, the oddest thing being out in the desert. And I told her, I said, this is really weird. I said, I'm out here all alone and I'm watching. And then I went, wait a minute, I'm out here all alone. That's not a good idea, if that's what I think it is. And it was the V. And it moved and moved. I watched it for 10 minutes. And it just kept getting further and further and further. I guess it must have been going towards San Diego. That's where that would probably be. But I just watched it disappear. I mean, it just kept going and going and going. But it was exactly the same thing. It was sort of an amber kind of like soft lights on the thing. It wasn't really a bright white. You know, it was sort of a dull amber kind of lights. And I thought, how weird is that? I mean, that was 3 years ago that the Phoenix Lights. And I wasn't expecting that at all. You expect to see shooting stars. You expect to see, you know, maybe a satellite or something and way out in the desert like that. But this was absolutely the exact same ship. So apparently they were KISS fans. They didn't abduct me.
That was good. Good ending there. Special thanks to Alice Cooper for doing that for us. No, I'm just kidding. That was not my interview with him. I found that online. So shout out to Phoenix Lights. That was the name of the YouTube channel where I found that clip. It was just totally random that I had. When you go down that YouTube rabbit hole, guys, you can spend days finding some gems, and that was one of them. A lot of Alice Cooper fans in the chat. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. We suck. Love it. I love Alice Cooper. And he's one of those guys, like, he sings such like grimy, dark metal. I love it. I love the costumes and all that. And then he's just like this normal dude who golfs 4 times a week and just like lives a normal life. I just love it. I love it. His rock persona is just like, love it. And to know he was a witness of the Phoenix Lights, that had to have been the year, he said 3 years. So the year 2000, he saw an identical craft as what was reported in Phoenix in 97. So pretty interesting. I'm going to go into the super chat, star chat here for a moment, guys. Robert says, love the show so much. What Ryan comes up with, his crew is amazing. It's a crew of 2, baby. And we love what we do. And we really do appreciate that, Robert. Thank you, buddy. We'll see you over in Discord later, my friend. Michelle. Ryan, did you and your dad talk about your sighting after? No. My dad did not talk about it until 2017. In depth, to be honest. We had a beer. 2017 New York Times article had come out. UFOs were more widely accepted now, more than ever. And I went home. I was living in New York City at the time, went upstate, about 5 hours north. And we talked about that story, New York Times, all that, Rendlesham. We talked all about Rendlesham. And then the topic of the sighting came up and we hashed it out. And it was great. It was great to like have that conversation with him finally. Vindication, if anything, which is all any UFO witness can truly ask for. So yeah, powerful stuff. Michelle, if you haven't already, my dad came on the live stream actually when I was home in Syracuse. If you go back in the archives, there's the thumbnail is him like doing a field goal sort of thing. And he came on and we talked about it actually, the sighting and what I do and like what he thinks about all of it and stuff. It was a lot of fun. Go back and give that a watch if you haven't already. Shout out to Jordan Mack. Thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. That's one. We got one, guys. I forgot to put the official goal up. It should be there up on YouTube now. If you want to contribute, contributing to the goal. Thank you. Thank you. Truly, truly, truly. Michelle, gonna re-sign up for Patreon. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I feel like I'm doing one of those telethons tonight. I won't talk anymore about it, I promise. Hit that like button. Thank you, Mistletoe. This is a good question, Yantra Mandala. Ryan, have you ever spoke to Dr. Linkatai about what happened? She did a lot to help spread the awareness about everything transpired that historic day. Yes. I have met with Linkatai several times. I actually had her on my television show, Mysteries Decoded. I got to find that episode. Maybe we'll do... This is what I've wanted to do on Patreon for a while. So for those of you who don't know, I was on a television show on the CW network in the United States called Mysteries Decoded. We had 3 seasons, still waiting for the 3rd season to air. The lead investigator is a former Navy vet. And oh man, she just does such an incredible job. Such an awesome job. But we actually went to Phoenix to do an entire episode on the Phoenix Lights. Jennifer and I did. And yeah, if you guys don't know who Jennifer Marshall is, she is the lead host of Mysteries Decoded. She's also, she plays one of the moms of one of the kids on Stranger Things. So she's very accomplished. Love her work. Love her work. But anytime she went and investigated UFOs on Mysteries Decoded, I was the one who tagged along and did the investigations. But yeah, we met with Linkatai at the Phoenix Lights Museum, which is in Phoenix, and talked to her. She was able to actually put us in touch with, and this was his first time ever going forward with his account, a military pilot who witnessed the Phoenix Lights in the air. Crazy stuff. He never went on the record before. Lynn was able to get us in touch with him. And yeah, you can watch the episode on the CW. I'll try to find it for you guys. Get you some links. I want to do some watch-alongs of my episodes of that show. So maybe on Patreon, what we'll do is I'll get you guys like a link. We'll start it at the same time and we'll watch and I'll just go through it. Like what it was like doing the investigation. I'll give you the behind the scenes sort of stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. Anyways, okay. Well, I am really getting off on a tangent. We have got some awesome stories to cover. And we're going to do some Ask Me Anythings at the end here. So let's go ahead and put that call out right now, guys. Suzanne and I, she's going to join me when we come back from the break. We're going to do an Ask Me Anything. So you can ask Suzanne and I whatever you want. Nothing's off the table. We're going to have fun, but we're going to bring you some more stories after the commercial break. But get your questions in now. The easiest and best way, I hate to do this, and I know it sounds YouTubey, super chat. That will be the easiest way. We'll be able to highlight your questions and get to them. They will go to the top. They will be the priority. We'll answer those. Otherwise, if you could put the questions in capital letters with a Q in the front of it, we'll go ahead and star those as well. Now, Suzanne will be joining me when we get back. So both of us, it'll be a little challenging for us to get to the chat, but I'll try to get in there and star what I can. So again, two ways to get your Ask Me Anything questions in. We'll do that at the end of the show, guys. The first easiest way, super chat, put it there and we'll get it. Or put it in capital letters with a Q in the front. All right. Whew. Let's go to a quick commercial break. We're going to come back and talk about the Baltic Sea anomaly is back in the news. Crazy stuff. We have an update on something that could happen, could maybe happen with the newly appointed Federal Secrets Task Farce, and the triangle coming out of the ocean, the triangle UFO photo coming out of the ocean. We got some updates on that. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back. Give this a watch, and we'll see you on the other side. Greetings, everyone. Ryan Sprague here, host of Somewhere in the Skies. For over 7 years and more than 400 episodes, the Somewhere in the Skies podcast has always been free to listen to, but it's not free to create. So we offer several ways to help support our efforts and get rewards in return. If you listen to the podcast on Apple, you can click the subscribe button at the top of your Somewhere in the Skies feed to become a premium Apple subscriber. Or you can join our Patreon campaign with several tiers available. Both of these options give you the same benefits and rewards: ad-free episodes, early access to the main show, and bonus episodes and content. Help keep the lights on at the Somewhere in the Skies HQ, and help us continue to grow by becoming a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/somewhereskies, or by clicking the subscribe button at the top of your Apple feed. Thank you for your continued support, and keep looking up. And we are back. Welcome back, guys. Patreon.com/somewhereskies if you want to join and help us out today. Someone asked, Pat Gallagher asked, what's the Twitch channel? Just put a link in there for you, buddy. So yeah, if you guys want to watch us over on Twitch, it's just this live stream, but I know we have Twitch watchers, Twitch loyalists, I guess. So a big hello to you guys over there as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know people like Nisa are watching over on Twitter. So thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Really do appreciate anywhere you watch the show. Truly. Thank you for being here tonight. We got a good crowd too. Rising. Love that. Okay. We covered some goofy stuff, some fun stuff, some really high strange stuff with UFOs in memory. But we're going to talk some anomalous stuff. Now, you guys remember the Baltic Sea anomaly, right? This Millennium Falcon-esque thing in the Baltic Sea. This thing just went nuts, went viral when it first came out, and it's still up for debate till today. Now, I know there's been a lot of debunks on it and whatnot. We may talk a little about that. However, the first person to discover this was a gentleman named Dennis Osberg, and he was recently on News Nation with Ross Coulthard to talk about this, which was pretty interesting. So I'm going to read a very brief little tease here. We're going to watch a little bit of the interview between Ross and Dennis Osberg, and then we're going to bring Suzanne in and get the lowdown on all of this, get her thoughts on the Baltic Sea anomaly and what's going on with it. Because I can readily admit, other than watching this brief clip, I don't know much. But we're going to get her thoughts and all of yours as well, guys. So here's a little bit about the Baltic Sea anomaly. Baltic Sea anomaly is back in the news because of one of its original investigators. The object in the Baltic Sea, often referred to as the Baltic Sea anomaly, was discovered back in 2011 by Dennis Osberg and Peter Lindbergh from the Ocean X team. If you're watching this on YouTube, there's an image here of Dennis holding some, I'm assuming, shipwreck bottles. Looking pretty sweet there. Love that hoodie. I want to get that hoodie. Ocean X. So mainly these guys hunt for treasure and shipwrecks and whatnot. But on one of their excursions, they discovered this anomaly at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. So during one of their expeditions to a local shipwreck, they found that this anomaly lies approximately 90 meters deep on the seabed and has sparked widespread speculation and debate ever since its discovery. The anomaly is approximately 60 meters in diameter and has a circular or disc shape to it. It's situated on a runway-like structure, which some claim appears to lead up to the object. Sonar images show, this is a tongue twister. Sonar images show sharp angles and lines, making it appear man-made or artificially shaped. So, that's my very brief summary of it. Wanted to get you guys caught up on sort of what it is, who discovered it. Let's watch this clip between Ross and Dennis, and then we're bringing her in. She is going to be free from the shackles of the chat and join me for a little bit. So you guys hold it down over there, but let's watch this clip first. And yeah, give me a sec to find it. I had all the videos queued up and StreamYard just doesn't want to play them. So let me find it here. Here we go.
That have convinced you that this object is constructed, that it's some form of artificial construction. It's not just a lump of rock sitting at the bottom of the Baltic Sea.
It's a number of things. I cannot say one thing. It's the triangle with a hole in it. That's one thing. It's it's a 60-meter diameter round thing that looks like it's separated from the bottom. You have this track on the bottom also, like 1500 meters. You have these angles, you have these holes, we have also been with the ROV under it, in the front of it, if you can call it that, and see lots of strange things. It's like burn material, like something have burned on it.
One of the other things I wanted to explore with you, Dennis, is you noticed other anomalies when you were on site. You had all sorts of weird things happening over the object. Can you talk me through what happened?
Yeah, lots of things have happened out there. The first time we were out there, we noticed that we have problems with our equipment. The ROV did not work properly, and I remember when Stefan was coming up and explained for me about taking samples. He said also, Dennis, it's something strange because usually we have 4 to 5 Celsius plus down there, but now Dennis was 0. I have never experienced that before, and that's not the only thing. Even his camera stopped working, the light stopped working. And when we talked about that, I said, okay, we have the same problem with the ROV, with the robot. The compass not working properly, and it feels like this thing or whatever it is don't want us to come near it. That's why we did not. It was very difficult to find the spot again with the ROV.
So you were getting some kind of, electromagnetic interference with your technology?
Yeah.
Tell me about the radar. You were getting ghost images on the radar as well, weren't you?
Yeah, well, we had almost every time, but this time it was so clear. We have anchor over the object. We start preparing for the dive, and was blue sky, the sun was shining. No ship near us. We were totally alone that time. And then we look at the radar, and it's popping up like dots on the screen, like something is out there. And I remember Peter and I look at each other and say, okay, what is that? And it should not be anything out here. So I take we go out and look, and we did not see anything. But still, it's popping up everywhere around us. And I'm talking about the area of 150, 200 meters from the ship. And we have no ship there. So, yeah.
Crazy stuff. So much anomalous activity happening around the anomaly itself. Man. It's interesting. It's interesting. But there's more to this. So I'm gonna bring in Suzanne to talk about this. And see if like there's any decoding this mystery anymore, if there's anything we missed with the clip and the summary. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about with Suzanne. So we shall wait no longer. I'm gonna bring her in. Give me 1 sec here, guys. Get this going. There she is. Hello, hello.
And it's a miracle. I turned on my microphone.
Better than I did a couple times tonight already. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Hope everybody's well.
Yes. The chat I know is blowing up already.
They're so great.
Happy to have you here. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for all the research you've done this week on this story, on the 2 other stories we're going to cover in just a little bit here. But okay. Baltic Sea anomaly back in the news. Of course, leave it to News Nation and Ross Coulthard to dig up these things from the grave and bring them back to life. But what do you think? What do you think about the Baltic Sea anomaly, and what really stuck out to you about this current iteration of this story?
Gosh, I love this sort of thing so much because here is an oceanic scientist treasure hunter, not a UFO guy, not a conspiracy theorist on any level. And he's fishing around the bottom of the Baltic Sea is, wait a minute, what's this? And his work, it's still going on. He's about to go back. I think he finally got his funding to go back and to the Baltic. By the way, this is an undisclosed location, but it is somewhere fairly central, I think, in the Baltic Sea, which is surrounded by all kinds of countries. If you pull up the map, you can see what they're dealing with. But he's been trying to get money for a decade to go back in. I think he's probably going the Avi Loeb way, like don't let the government in. It's probably smart.
Yeah.
And maybe going back in the summer of 2025. So who knows? Maybe we'll get a big story.
Yeah, and what fascinated me is like they were able to get some samples of this thing, and while a lot of it they said could be natural, there were some anomalistic. I don't even know anomalous. Wow, come on, Ryan, you got this.
You got it.
Breathe. Anomalous findings with some of the composition that they found with the thing. Again, the way it looks, they were able to get their, like, what did they call them? RVs, I think.
They're RVs, the underwater robots, right?
They were able to get it like underneath the thing, above it. They were having a lot of weird electrical issues as they were doing that. Weird stuff painted on the radar, and like it seems like there's more to this than just a natural phenomenon, in my opinion. Now, I try to hold these things with a grain of salt, but when you have grains of anomalies happening, that changes everything. And the other big thing, Suzanne, that stuck out to me is a lot of the debunkers would say, oh, this is just a guy trying to drum up ways to get funding for more expeditions for his company and stuff like this. And while I can't, say that's not a reason, they're already funded, like, to do the expedition for this. So,
Right.
I mean, there you go. And that was long before he even went on the air with Ross Coulthart and stuff like that.
And this is not what they were looking for when they found it. You know, they're looking for sunken ships,
Right.
sort of like the Titanic guys who ended up finding the Titanic. And they're not looking to be in this game. And yet it clearly impacted him significantly enough that a decade later, he's still working the problem.
Yeah. They weren't, they found a different type of ship, I
They
guess
did.
would be a good way to put it. Yeah.
Could end up being more valuable than one of the
Right.
shipwreck that a treasure
Exactly.
hunter is normally looking for, right? We'll see.
Could you imagine if this guy teamed up with Avi Loeb? Like,
Oh gosh.
oh man.
I wonder if they had, though. They certainly should. In researching this guy, I think his brain works a lot like Avi's, and
Yeah.
their perspective is very similar. I guess that's a better way to say it. Their perspective seems very similar. It is what it is, and you can just talk to the hand about what you, American government or whatever, think it might be. You didn't test it. And we tried to test it and we couldn't. And yet there was this media blitz after it was found, which is actually what I remember. I remember them saying, "Oh my gosh, it looks like the Millennium Falcon, right? It looks like, looks like they found a Star Wars ship at the bottom of the ocean." And so it caught my eye at the time, but it was quickly debunked. And now in researching this guy, you can see what happened. They swept in and immediately went to the press, theoretically behind the scenes. He describes the debunking as organized pressure campaigning. So they came in and said, "Nope, it's just rock. It's just rock." And of course, now this guy, this scientist and treasure hunter, has been trying to get samples of this thing, and he's watching crazy equipment failure. He's like, "You cannot get a sample. It's not going to let you have a sample." And so I love Beatrice Villarreal. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name. She is the one who put this News Nation interview out there on her Twitter feed. And she was great. She has her eye on this. And she wrote an article years ago, a paper, saying this was inappropriately debunked. They didn't do any testing. They just came out and said, "Oh, it's a rock." But the fellows who are down there on the bottom of the ocean know that it's not likely a rock. So, anyway.
That is interesting. Yeah. And kudos to Beatrice for sort of, keeping this thing going, because there should be a proper investigation. They should get other people involved. Someone in the chat, Daniel, mentioned they were not able to get a core sample, which I think is very important.
Very important. And they tried.
They tried. And the things they did collect and have tested did seem somewhat prosaic, should be down there.
Right.
But again, that's just the stuff that may have collected around the core object or whatever it was. Maybe there is something different, there. I mean, look at how much stuff gathers around a simple rock in the ocean.
In the bottom of my swimming pool. I mean, my God.
Yeah, that too, right?
What is all that?
I know. Oh man, reminds me, I got to scrub my shower and toilet.
There you go. Like that too. Same
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing. Maybe we'll know the truth someday, but
maybe.
At least we got Ocean X out there trying. That's for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's move to another story. Now, this is going to bring us back to UFOs and government. We had Askapol. We had them over there covering the latest when it came to this federal secrets task force and what they're doing with Epstein and whatever, JFK and UFOs, all that stuff, being led by Anna Paulina Luna and all those peoples over there. And he was able to get a quote from her about something interesting. I'm going to play the clip.
Okay.
And then we'll talk a little bit about it. He wanted to know what's going on with like the latest UAP stuff. Will that be making any sort of presence in what you're doing right now with the secrets task force and everything? And her answer was interesting. So I'm going to go ahead and find that clip and I want to get your thoughts on it. All right. So let me find it. Here we go.
Okay.
Care
Hey, what's going on?
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Living the dream.
UAP update?
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric Burleson had a really good idea to get Grusch into the SCIF, doing a read-in for a security clearance, and then having him, Elizondo and Arrow there to flesh out some stuff. So we're looking at coordinating that, and I know, although I'm chair, I'm taking all the advice from Burchett, because you know that he's been leading point on this for years, and then also Chief Harrelson's very active as well, and so we're working as a team. This is not just my fight, this is
interesting. So does he have to get his clearance?
We're gonna,
like, is that taken care of, or?
So we're going to try to do a temporary read-in. There's certain things that you can share in a SCIF with a temporary read-in. So, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so what do you make of this? Getting Elizondo and Grusch in a SCIF together. Like, it seems like this would solve a lot of problems with a lot of stuff going on. Or at least shed some light.
Yeah, but the lawyer in me wants him to do it differently. I want to separate the witnesses and put them under oath and call them in at the same time and separate them and let them answer the same set of questions. And that way you are depriving those witnesses in a constructive way, a helpful way of playing off of each other. And you get a cleaner read on what an individual actually knows from, say, self perspective, or they've heard, or as opposed to things happening in the room. We'll see. I think they need to be in SCIFs. This has been a long time. Ryan, when did we cover that whole hearing? Where was that in 2018? No, it was later than that. Grusch's testimony. I'm terrible on dates. 2021?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Anyway, I know, terrible.
I think it was like 2023,
to
be honest. Yeah.
So at a minimum, it's been a couple of years and he hasn't made it into a SCIF.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy.
I don't know. Some of it could be that lawsuit hanging out in Loudoun County and they don't want to cross-contaminate. I don't know.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, and I mean, wasn't there like rumors that his clearances got revoked and everything after he came forward and leaked things or whatever? And so I mean, that was kind of his way of hiding behind not having to go in a SCIF.
Right.
But I shouldn't say hiding behind, but like that is a legal loophole, when it comes to all this. And
it is.
I don't know. I
mean,
mean,
it can be used offensively or defensively.
Yes, exactly. And the biggest frustration from all of these Congress people is, they tried to get answers and the witnesses at these hearings were not able to give them any answers. So they're like, what are we doing here? And it was just this spinning this freaking wheel, spending taxpayer dollars to have these hearings on these topics that the UFO community has wanted for years, and then like nothing comes of it.
Right. And I submit it's worse than nothing. They're doing damage. They do credibility damage when over and over and over again, the rug gets pulled on the details with the public. So I don't know. I wish, first of all, the task force seems really broadly focused, and I'm not sure that's helpful. Maybe a little set of task forces that would take narrower topics would be helpful, but we'll see. And as we talked about last time I was on, this is only authorized as task force for 6 months. So here we are,
Yeah. Already like 2.5 to 3 weeks in. They get countdowns on, guys. I mean, apparently they got some Epstein stuff, or did they? I didn't even look in.
I don't know. I think that turned out to be unclassified, previously released materials that some of the handpicked people were given. Is that,
Cool. Way to go.
I
Good
know.
job.
So I'm not sure, but I'm not following that like I probably should. So somebody in chat may know much more than I do about that.
Yeah, it's interesting. But if we could get these two in a SCIF, could swing some doors open or close more doors shut. I don't know.
Yeah.
You make very good points either way.
We'll see.
Well, this kind of has to do with our next story, which I kind of put you in charge of. I do have a little bit here that I'll
Okay.
read out. Quite a bit actually.
Okay.
But yeah, this story comes to us from the Black Vault. Our good friend John Greenwald over at the Black Vault recently got some FOIA documents sent to him. I put a link in the show notes so you guys can go read. There was like 80 something pages. It's in PDF form. Link in the show notes. You can go read all of it now. But the main thing we're going to be talking about, Suzanne, is where is it? Is this.
Yes. There you go.
The rumored, the ever so mythical triangular UFO emerging from the ocean photo.
Right.
So the title of this is FOIA released emails mentioned. FOIA release emails mentioned alleged triangular UAP photo. Former UAP Task Force director speaks out. So I'm going to read a little bit here.
Okay.
Newly released documents obtained by the Black Vault through the Freedom of Information Act reveal email exchanges within the DoD discussing a photograph reportedly showing a triangular UAP emerging from the ocean. Along with these documents, John J. Stratton, ding ding, former director of the UAPTF, has now spoken exclusively to the Black Vault about this claim, offering brand new clarification that no such photograph depicting a triangular craft emerging from the ocean was ever received by the UAP task force. The long-rumored photograph in question gained significant attention following a December 2020 article by The Debrief, which described an extremely clear image of a large triangular object with rounded edges and white spherical lights in each corner. According to the article, the photograph was allegedly taken in 2019 by an FA-18 fighter pilot after the object emerged from the ocean and ascended vertically. The story quickly became one of the most talked about pieces of evidence that the DoD was allegedly withholding, with references by public figures such as Luis Elizondo, which then fueled widespread discussion across social media. Okay.
Putting it mildly.
Yep. So, the FOIA released emails dated December 34th of 2020 show internal communication within the DoD discussing the debrief article. In one email addressed to Susan Goff, which that name we know well now, from the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations, Jay Stratton in the email, it says, Jay Stratton tells me the photo is part of the active investigation, so it would probably be withheld from release for that reason. The information in this email, which was conveyed to Goff in 2020 from Stratton himself, appeared to confirm the existence of the triangular UAP photograph. However, Stratton's recent statement to the Black Vault directly addresses this assumption. I have that quote from Jay Stratton. Should I read it?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I feel like I'm hijacking this whole story.
No, you're doing great.
You did all the research on this one. So, okay. Here is what Jay Stratton had to say to the Black Vault. At the time of this email exchange, the story in the debrief and the claim that an FA-18 pilot had provided a photograph of a triangle emerging from the ocean, I was handling multiple cases. When asked about it, especially on an unclassified system, I was aware of what the debrief was reporting while also managing other investigations, some of which could have been conflated with this claim. We had photographs from FA-18 pilots, instances of UAP that appeared triangular or pyramidal, and other unrelated cases. Given the circumstances, I was limited in what I could discuss at the time. To prevent years of speculation and misinterpretation of emails taken out of context, I want to clarify explicitly, no such photo was ever provided to us. This statement is simply meant to ensure accuracy on this specific detail, not to challenge or critique the debrief's reporting. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying, well, this kind of puts it to bed. There's no photograph. There's no triangular photo of something emerging from the ocean. The debrief was wrong. The author, Tim McMillan, was wrong. Tim has since had exchanges with the Black Vault to clear up some stuff on all of this, and that's the problem. Like, there's a lot of just, rumor and innuendo is the terms we use in the wrestling world when it comes to rumors about things going on. And, McMillan was backing up his original reporting. Stratton was clarifying his perspective and angle on all of it. And the Black Vault was caught sort of somewhere in between. So, yeah, the middleman, and he's the referee in our WrestleMania match, as it would know. No, Tim
it kind of turned into that on social media, didn't it? It turned into serious UFO drama.
It did, but I think they made up in the end. But that's the thing. Like, this has been a heated debate for years. It has caused misconception and rumor and the building of a myth with this mythical photo. And now here we are, Jay Stratton saying we never had a photo like that.
Right.
At least not one I could tell you about. And that's the problem right there.
That's the problem. And I think, how I love to think through what someone is not saying. He'd love to talk about, well, we were researching multiple cases, similar cases, this, that, and the other. So, but his response wasn't to anyone, well, which triangle are you talking about? I think that's odd. If this is the stuff that's going through his work, a more specific question. And so in my mind, this is not yet resolved. I'm not going to go out on a limb and say, oh, this is true. I'm not there either, but neither am I convinced that it's prosaic at its core. Maybe it is, but something's off. Radar's off on this.
Yeah. It almost adds more speculation.
It did.
Yeah.
It did for me. Yeah.
People on either end of, if this photo exists, like, they were cherry picking things from the statement and using it either with, see, this proves it doesn't exist, or others saying no. Like, they literally said it was like, these were active investigations. Therefore, if there were something like this, we could not share it with
exactly.
And
when I started off on this research, I was very much, this is put to bed. Because look how clear Jay Stratton is speaking about this. And then by the time the back and forth had been absorbed, I thought, I don't think so. I don't know. And we all know the debrief works hard on, to put facts only out. They're not out there speculating wildly. So I think we just keep our eye on this and flag it and encourage everybody to keep sending those FOIAs, keep digging, because something is off.
Yeah, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. As they say.
Exactly.
Well, as we mentioned, again, link in the show notes, guys, there were over 80 pages that were sent to the Black Vault and John Greenwald in the scope of this. This was a small part of it, Suzanne. But there were some other interesting things that were in those documents that they sent that you had noted in your research on this story. Is there anything you want to share? Other things that you found in those documents worth looking at?
Well, I think everyone just needs to fish through and keep in mind things are a bit out of context. So when you look at that, and by the time they redact or do whatever they've done, take away, pages or however they're doing it, it's really a bit of a conundrum what's going on. And we're back to that age-old problem of classification or overclassification. So I don't know, did something grab you that you thought was interesting in the underlying docs?
Nothing like really stood out. I was definitely sorry, you're just staring on the screen. Hold on, how do I get me back on here? I feel there we go. Boom. You think I know how to do this stuff by now? I'm trying to look in the chat and also I gotta pull up your thing here. There was one thing that stuck out to me that you highlighted. Let me get to it here.
I did think it was interesting Tim McMillan's takeaway at the end of the chitter chatter on it was, I remain confident in the diligent work that was done supporting the statements made. He's not backing off.
No, as you know, any reporter would, they should admit when they have made mistakes, and that's what corrections are for. Major newspapers do it all the time. But yeah. This was interesting. Discussions of inquiries into claims related to the Drake equation.
Yes.
And its connection to ATIP, plus broader speculation on ET life.
Yeah, Drake equation. So for everybody listening, if you don't already know, and I'm sure most of you do, the Drake equation is that math proposition that determines what the odds are of life out there in the universe somewhere. And it's quite complex, and it is that they've been citing over a decade now for, these beings have to be out there. It's mathematically impossible for them not to be. The universe is too vast. So that's what they're referring to there. It's like, the odds are.
Yep. Yeah, that's hey. It's
now, how
more
that
than
weaves into ATIP, I don't know. I didn't know what to make.
That was a weird thread, yeah. But
doesn't
I mean,
it make you think like there is a thread like to pull?
Yeah, otherwise, why would they?
Why say it? Right.
That? Yeah, it's weird.
Right.
But again, it's more than they've given us in a really long time. Like they wouldn't admit that stuff back in the day during the Project Blue Book and all that. So I don't know. It's interesting. It was, I hate to say it, but I was like, oh, it's good to hear about the triangular UFO photo again. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, those were more innocent days. Now we've got congressional hearings.
Right?
Yeah.
The minute they announce it all debunked, it's like, oh, okay, it's debunked. And on we went.
Hey, and maybe that will be the outcome. Maybe. Well, hey, we did a poll. Should we go to the poll? Let's see what people said. Over on YouTube, let me refresh to make sure I get the most current number. Okay. So the poll on YouTube, I asked, does the triangular UFO coming out of the water photo still exist despite contrary statements? Out of 85 votes, 32% of people said yes, 10% said no, 47% said not enough evidence either way, and 10% said, I don't care, move on. So 33% of you remain very hopeful that this photo does still exist. 10% no. Most people
10%'s tired. They're just tired.
They're just
tired. They're exhausted with the whole thing. Yeah.
I don't blame them, Susan.
I don't either.
Not enough.
Definitely come out and tell us.
Yeah. Not enough evidence either way. That was the biggest. That was the majority.
I'm kind of there.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
Yeah. Yep. Same. Yep. As always. Cool. Well, there's one more clip I would love to play and get your thoughts on.
Okay.
Now, I have a book behind me here that I referenced earlier in the stream. It's called Mirage Men. If anyone's not familiar with this book, I cannot recommend it enough, by Mark Pinkleton. There is another book by Greg Bishop called Project Beta, and they both sort of cover the same thing. And that's disinformation within the UFO community. And there is no greater example of how disinformation was embedded into the UFO community than the Paul Bennewitz affair, Suzanne. Now, this was a man, and you have to read the books. It goes into so much detail. But to put it simply, a man who worked with AFOSI, the Office of Special Investigations, I believe it was, with the Air Force. He received information from his superiors that somebody was finding out things that were going on Air Force bases, top secret things that they shouldn't know about. And that these things could possibly have to do with both UAP, UFOs, and espionage. And instead of confronting this individual, who I should mention, went to the Air Force and said, hey, I found this stuff. I don't know if I was supposed to. I I don't know. Just wanted to let you guys know. And they're like, oh, okay. Okay, thanks for letting us know. You're a true patriot. And instead of like leaving it there and just kind of being like, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Please don't, talk about this with anyone or anything like this. They went on a brutal psychological disinformation campaign against this one man. And they hired this guy, Richard Doty, to do it. He befriended this guy, Paul Benowitz, and started leaking him information that an impending alien invasion was happening. They would break into his house and move things ever so slightly, though, so that he would notice and get paranoid. They implanted things onto his computer that was like alien messages of like, we're coming, like this, blah, blah, blah. They drove this man crazy, Suzanne.
Heartbreaking.
Not to death. A lot of people believe that it drove him to death. That is not true. That is rumor. That has not been proven. But they drove this guy crazy in order to get rid of him and just say, this guy's crazy. Don't believe anything he says, and drove him mad in order to make sure he didn't spill any of these secrets. Horrible thing. The book, both of these books tell it way better than I just did. I probably butchered so much of it. All this to say, Richard Doty is still around. He's in the UFO community. He speaks at conferences. And for many, many years, I thought, why? Why the hell would anyone believe a damn word this man says? His job was to lie, was to deceive, was to manipulate, was to drive people crazy, and to disinform them on the UFO topic. And it's crazy, like the pedestal that people would put this guy on, because he was part of some weird UFO thing. And then I found out that my colleague over at the Debrief, Chrissy Newton, was going to be interviewing Richard Doty.
Really?
And Chrissy, I hope, does not take this personally, but I was like, why? Why would you do that? Why would you give this guy a platform? But when I watched the interview that she did, I was like, wow, she held this guy to task, which nobody else has had the courage to do, really.
And now we know why she wanted to do it. Yeah.
And I will give her all the kudos in the world.
Absolutely.
Like she asked the questions that needed to be asked. And she held his feet to the fire on all of it. So shout out to Chrissy. If you guys haven't watched that interview, go over to the Debrief YouTube channel. You can watch that interview in full. But I did want to play a clip because she basically like says to him, what you did is illegal, bro. Like,
not to mention probably immoral, but
yeah,
digress.
Right. But it was interesting. She asked him, was what you did illegal? And his answer, I want to get your thoughts on his answer.
Okay.
And the chat.
I'm all excited. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Roll that beautiful footage.
Roll that beautiful bean footage. Let me find it here. And we'll talk about it on the other side.
Okay.
All right. Let me find it. Here we go.
Disinformation on somebody. And this was also, Linda Moten Howe was involved with this as well. She was shown documents, and we'll get to Linda. But isn't this against the law initially to do?
No.
But you're doing a disinformation campaign and lying to them that are civilians.
No, it's not. Number one, you won't ever find the word disinformation in our manuals. It's deception operations, it's called.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Deception operations. And we do it whenever an investigation is generated, we have to meet certain criteria. Number one, is this person connected at all to the United States government or to the United States military? The answer to Paul's is yes. He had 2 classified contracts. Well, one with the United States Navy. He made, and it isn't classified anymore, he made humidity sensors for nuclear submarines. Okay. Number 2, Paul made a particular component for a nuclear weapon. Okay, so that opens up the door to us being able to investigate Paul Benowitz.
Why not just leave Paul alone and let him go? Like, the reason why I'm getting at this is I think that in the beginning, we know that instantly coming in, you see a man that is already having some kind of maybe mental health issues, but having codependency issues that we're already seeing. Why not just remove his contracts and remove him fully and remove any connection that he has to the government instead of creating and leading him down a path that is at the end going to hurt his mental health even more? Why not just take those other things away from him and leave him be?
Well, it wasn't my decision to do that. Okay, I was told to do what the information that was contained in the operational plan, line item numbers. I did those. Okay, now in a real world, perfect world, somebody might consider this, but number one, Paul had already seen something was highly classified. Secondly, Paul was collecting signal intelligence from something that was highly classified. Okay, number one, the things that Paul was seeing were drones, were highly classified. In 1980s, the U.S. Air Force was experimenting with drones. They were highly classified, and these drones were being flown from an aircraft. They were launched from an aircraft, and they would fly around close to that aircraft. Paul was photographing that. He was photographing the aircraft. He was photographing these drones.
Okay.
I
So
would add one other question to him, and the question would be, why did you choose to participate in that?
right. Why would you? Well, and I will give. I'm not giving Richard Doty credit, but Chrissy gave him the space to tell his side of the story. Whether
Agreed.
you accept that or not, every individual is gonna. There's a scale here of like, this was my job, but did I have to take it this far?
Right.
How far would the government go to keep things under wraps? Doty's saying that what he actually saw were drones. Fine. Like, they weren't spaceships from Zeta Reticuli or whatever. Like, they were drones, but we told him they were they were aliens. Like, this is
Right, and
all part of it.
if you're bartering and disinformation, how do you know what you're being told is true?
Yeah. And then the other big thing was the signals that he was receiving at his home. I don't entirely remember how he received the signals, but they were like highly classified, sort of cryptic things that he had uncovered. And again, I'm just like, there would be so many other ways to deal with this than what they decided to do. And there should have been a point where this guy right here on the screen, Richard Doty, said, like, okay, like, we've gone far enough. This guy's like, this guy's going crazy over here.
And it's not like they don't know how to strip security clearance and Bob Lazar you to nearly death. They know how to cut someone out and discredit them without going to the psychological links that they went to here.
Yeah, it's weird.
This poor human.
It's just weird. I mean,
do you know anything at all about the fellow subsequently once he realized what had happened to him?
He was put into a psychiatric facility. He would eventually pass away. Still believing, I think, till his dying day, like a lot of this stuff. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah.
I've heard many different things that he committed suicide, which is horrible if true. I don't know that for fact. I don't want to be the one to say that's 100%. Like, that they drove this guy to commit such an act. But yeah, I mean, end of the day, it's just like, it didn't have to go this far. None of this had to go this far. And the fact that it
makes
did,
you want to dig around in it and see.
dig around,
Yeah.
read,
Could end
Mirage
up being
Men.
an interesting podcast of what happened to
Mhm.
this guy.
I plan on doing an entire episode on the Paul Benowitz affair. I've been working on it for years now, writing my version of it, trying to get people involved, investigators. I don't know. Maybe I will have to talk to this guy.
Maybe.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting. Again, if you guys want to go watch the full interview with Richard Doty, it's on the Debrief YouTube channel, on Rebelliously Curious with Chrissy Newton.
She did a great job too. I loved her tone and body language while she's asking those hard questions. She's not doing it in a mean or punishing way. She's doing it in a way to give him an opportunity to explain himself, right?
Right.
And that's a respectful way to do it, even if you're not thrilled with what the answers are. I would encourage everyone who just watched that clip of him speaking, though, once Ryan gets it up permanently on YouTube, go back and look at it and watch his facial and body language when she asked him those first questions on this topic about why would you do this kind of thing. Quite telling.
Interesting. That's why we have you here, the lawyer.
Overanalyzing everything.
Yeah.
That's my job.
I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah. Wow.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't want to end things on a dark tone. So let's do some Ask Me Anythings. We're going on the hour and 45 minutes. So we'll do this for a little bit. Suzanne, how's that
What if
sound?
I have an entire scroll of questions from Jane's family for you?
Oh, God. Oh, man.
I don't. You're safe.
We'll be here forever.
I did.
This will be an 8-hour show.
Just
Let me
put you
see.
under oath and I'll get started.
Yep.
That's what I do.
Okay, I'm gonna go up into the chat and see what we got here.
I was starring for a while, but somewhere I fell off.
Donnie says, "When are you going fishing in Loch Ness for Nessie, Ryan?" I hope to make it back there soon. So that's a quick answer for you, Donnie. Yeah. Have you been there,
I
Suzanne?
have, and it's a lot of fun because you can get in a boat, which is almost like a fancy fishing boat. But they have all that underwater radar, and so they're putting it up on the big screens all over the boat. So you're out in nature. You're looking at this incredibly beautiful place, but you get to see all the nooks and crannies of the bottom of the lake, and it is extremely deep, fascinating place.
I'll have to do that. We did one of those bus tours to Loch Ness, and what you do is you go there, and with us, we only had an hour at the loch. So like you could either do the boat thing, which you did, or you could just wander around the loch. And we chose to wander around the loch. We got
It's gorgeous too. Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful. We were able to like find a small private area of Loch Ness to go to and like look for Nessie, and it was just beautiful. And so we missed the boat thing, but I think this time we'll do it so that I can actually get in the water. I did go in the water when we went. I did go in the water.
Really?
So that was cool. Yeah.
It has to be some cold water because that's a deep.
It
lake.
was freezing, and I swear something touched my foot. I swear. All right, what else we got here? Nisa asks, "What kind of donut do you and Suzanne like?" Sorry for yelling, she says. We did ask for capital letters, so
We did. She's
are
not
forgiven.
yelling. That doesn't count.
Yeah,
I
do you
don't
have a
know
favorite
about you.
donut?
Absolute purist. I want a plain glazed donut. I don't want sprinkles on it. I don't want chocolate on it. I just want a plain donut.
I love that. I might have to go with that too. Let me think about it for a sec. So the UK recently got Krispy Kreme over here.
Oh,
So
you
they're
did it
going
finally? Oh my gosh.
people are going cuckoo for Krispy Kreme over here.
Fabulous.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I go and get like half a dozen glazed donuts.
And I can't go or I'll eat them all. I have to, it's like, can someone bring me one donut?
There's a reason my camera's only from here to here because I don't want you guys to see what's going on down here. It
Busting
ain't
the
pretty.
carb down.
Yeah. Between that and this,
There we go. There we go.
I'm a purist too. I like a good glazed donut, but I would have to say my favorite would have to be the cinnamon roll, if that's considered a donut.
Yes. Yeah. Like a twist, the cinnamon twist thing.
Yeah, the one like
yeah.
the spiral one with the
Yeah.
icing on top, the glaze throughout.
That's probably a good second for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people call it like a coffee roll. I don't know. It's got many different names. It goes by many names.
It goes-
That would have to be my favorite. That would have to be my
As
favorite.
all the best donuts do.
Yeah.
Look at these sweet super chats coming in. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I'll have to go. I got to check those.
Yeah.
Ronnie Horn, what's the difference between Cyanux and Greer Shtick? I don't know.
Ryan and I talk about this all the time.
Yeah. It's like apples and oranges. Yeah.
It is. Well, I also think they're just using different ways to describe the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Psionics. What's the other term? CE5.
CE5
is the big thing.
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a live psionics at
Oh, I
some
think we
point. That'd be
should.
fun. That'd be fun. Eric, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Great show as always. Ryan Suzanne is fantastic too. Yes, she is.
So sweet.
Most of the information that I blab on this thing is from Suzanne, guys.
If we
So
don't keep
good
my
for
brain busy, it goes to bad places. It's just better for the whole planet. Just keep me busy.
The live stream is keeping you mentally well. You're the first. You're the first. Pine Cedar, thank you so much for the super chat, for making the witness stories. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Hopefully I'll have another witness accounts episode coming out soon. It's so hard with those because like I'll put a call out for stories every now and again, and I'll get it. But honestly, Suzanne, they come when you least expect it. I'll get an email and someone will be like, "Hey, I want to tell my story. I just listened to episode 237." I'm like, "Whoa, that was like 4 years ago." And they're like, "And I saw the same thing as that person, and I want to talk about it." And I'm just like, reason I do the show right there.
Exactly. I'll tell a funny story about mine. So Ryan and I had been working on this stuff for a little while. No, I guess not. Maybe not. Maybe it was right after I met you in Scotland. And I decided I was going to tell my story, and I'd never talked to anybody except my husband about it. And so we were messaging on something back and forth, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to send you my UFO story." There was this quiet pause on the other side. I thought, he's either getting ready to cut me off or he's sucking all the air in the room in while he's about to scream, right? I was like, all this time, and you don't tell me you've had experience?
I remember that.
Oh my God, it was the latter, by the way. Send it to me. Do it this way. And I say that to encourage everyone. It is not scary. It is not hard. Ryan, all you do is email him, and he will send you back some good notes on how to organize yourself and how to record it and send it back to him. Very simple on the teller's part, not so simple on Ryan's part once he receives.
Oh, that's not true. Most people do a wonderful, I'll edit it as, a little bit here and there. But I mean, honestly, you did such a fantastic job, and we're up to like almost 40 witness accounts episodes. I cannot thank people enough for coming forward and sharing their stories. But yes, I try to walk you through, like, just, tell me your story in your own words. It's not an interview. I am not involved at all. I just want to hear your story in your own words, like you were telling it, to the guys at the bar or the ladies at the restaurant. I don't like over a campfire. Like that's what we want. It's not about me interrogating you or asking for more details or being like, "Oh, well, I think you saw this." Like, no, I'm not even in these episodes. These are steered by you guys. So
they are literally, I never heard back from Ryan other than he got my recording, except when he published it. So he's not going to be in there critiquing you. You're going to get to tell your story your way.
Yeah, not at
all. And I put the email up, Ryan, is running across the banner.
Oh, thank you.
That's where you would email Ryan to let him reply to you and send you some instructions and some good notes. Don't be scared. Get in there.
Don't be scared, guys. We all got in. Look, every person that comes forward is one more piece to the puzzle. I know a lot of people don't believe that or put much stock into witness testimony, but I clearly do. And so do a lot of other people. And honestly, I just like stories. Like I love stories. Will they get us all the answers to this stuff? No. But will anything? Probably not. So let's just, come together and tell our stories. That's all I got. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Pine Cedar. Truly do appreciate that.
So kind.
There was one other one here. Neil, thank you so much, buddy, for the super chat.
Oh.
Great show again, Ryan. Grab some Krispy Kremes. Suzanne Fab as always.
That's so sweet.
Thank you, Neil.
Neil.
I'm gonna grab those Krispy Kremes and mail them to Suzanne because I don't need them. I do not need them.
I don't need them either, but they're so good.
Trust.
And here in Memphis, when I'm at the Memphis house, the equivalent of Krispy Kreme is around the corner, not too far. And if you go in at a certain time, they literally, when you open the door and step in, they hold up a tong with a donut on it and they throw it at you. And it's free.
Oh my God. I love that.
Yeah, you might get hit in the head with a donut, but you do get a free one if you catch it.
You get pelted by the food you went in there to purchase.
Right.
Nisa, are you taking note? You have a new
biologist. Thank you.
Biologist.
That's another one.
Oh, thank you so much.
So sweet. I think we did hit the goal.
We hit the goal.
Yeah.
Boom. We got it, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. So that means I will next week do a top 5 of something. I got so many good suggestions, Suzanne, from YouTube subscribers. My Patreon subscribers gave me some really good ideas. So what I'll do is I'll do a top 5 of something. It will go on Patreon first. So that our subscribers over there who do support us will get that first. And then we'll put it here on YouTube for everyone to watch. For free. It won't live on Patreon that long because I don't like putting things behind a paywall. If you are on Patreon, it's for a reason. You want to support the show, and in return, I give you early access to the show and I give you bonus content, but I don't put any sort of main show stuff behind paywalls. I don't believe in that. If you want bonus stuff, that's where that's at, and that's how.
And it's really nice that it's ad free.
Yes. Yeah, that's another perk. You don't have to listen to whatever commercials they that I have no say over, guys. So I'm sorry.
If you we're not inserting them.
Nope, that's not me. I have an ad break place in the episode that is legally binding and has to be there. And whatever gets put in there has nothing to do with me.
Right.
But thank you so much. Thank you guys for those super chats. Appreciate that. We'll speed through some of these. Robert said, what are your thoughts on the Paintville, Kentucky incident? This happened in the 2000s, Suzanne, in Paintville, Kentucky. It was a case I covered on an episode of the show, actually. It was an episode that I had Jason McCullen on, Rob Christofferson, Brent Hand over at Hysteria 51 podcast. Who else did we have? I'm forgetting someone, and I'm so sorry to whoever it is. But we talked about obscure UFO cases. And the Paintville, Kentucky one was actually the one that Paintsville, was the one I picked. And it's where a UFO collided with a train.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And left
I'm gonna have to go find that.
Left damage to the train. It's crazy, crazy stuff. There was like news reports on it and stuff like that. The train conductors came forward to give their story, and then there was like a whole cover up involved with it. Apparently,
do you remember what UFO looked like according to the train people?
I think it was classic saucer shaped sort of thing. It started as like an orb, and when it got closer, they could see the structured craft. Wow. It's been a while, so I do apologize if I'm
fish that out and post that.
It's an interesting case, so thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that, Robert. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Grand Canyon expedition that found a cave with hieroglyphics and Native American petroglyphs? That is news to me. I know nothing about that.
I don't know anything about it either. And I'm an Egyptian history nut.
Ooh.
So I'm going to go Google that.
Look into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be something we should bring up on the show. Thank you for that. Thank you. Amanda, hello to Amanda. Ryan, how long do you plan to be in Scotland? Are you still enjoying it? What are some of the things you love about Scotland? I plan to be in Scotland for at least another year. At least. I wish I could stay longer for reasons I won't get into here. We're not a political show, but it is what it is. Are you still enjoying it? Yes, I love it here. I love everything about it. And what are some of the things you love about Scotland? I just put a beer up to the screen for those listening. No, I love every day turning a corner and finding something new, something older than the entire country that I was born in, and going to the graveyards. I went to the Kirk. It's the Greyfriars Kirkyard today, which is
Is that the one
interesting.
that's sort of up on the top of the arm there in the heart of Edinburgh?
Yes. Yep.
I couldn't remember
Yeah.
the name of it, but yeah.
And
It's
it's got
amazing.
the Bobby, which is like the city mascot dog
Yes,
outside of it.
yes.
There's a
Okay.
whole
Yeah.
story behind that. But it's also the cemetery where J.K. Rowling, is that her name? The
Yeah.
Harry Potter
Yeah.
author? Yeah. Where she got all the names of her characters.
I didn't know that either. Now
Yeah.
another reason to come back. Yeah.
Yeah. She's an extremely problematic individual. I don't
Exactly.
support her work personally, but a lot of people love those books, grew up on them, and that's fine. I'm not going to take that away from them. I know Harry Potter has changed a lot of people's lives, and it's been a big part of their lives. But yeah, if you go to the cemetery, you can find a lot of the names that she literally went to the cemetery and found the names and put them into her books,
I
inserted
would
them in
love
different
that.
places.
And isn't there a famous American buried there? Okay,
I don't know.
now that I've said that, I'm going to totally blank. But if I think of it, I'll send it to you.
Okay. There's also, yeah, please, if you do find that, that's interesting. There's also a really creepy mausoleum that has a crazy ghost story behind it. I'm actually going to do a video about it. So
Really?
I went there today and took a bunch of video of the mausoleum, and I'm going to go back and get, there's a ghost tour that goes through there every day. I'm going to take a leap and go and ask the ghost tour person, can you tell me the story on camera? I'll pay you. I'll pay you whatever you pay for this ghost tour. Just tell me the story of this mausoleum, because I heard it's freaky as hell. So
wow.
Yeah. But welcome to Scotland. Everything's haunted. Yeah.
Amazing. And there's so much underground.
This beer can's haunted. Yes. I haven't been to the underground yet. Everyone says I have to go. It's one of those things, Suzanne, I didn't go to the Statue of Liberty for 10 years when I lived in New York City. I haven't been to the
part of
Edinburgh.
everyone's hometown situation, right?
Yeah.
No one ever goes to the thing that's in their hometown.
Exactly. It'll always be there until it's
worth
not.
going.
I can't live here forever. I haven't been to the castle yet. Haven't done that.
What?
Yep.
I'm coming back over there and dragging you all over this thing.
Speaking of which, Beatrice, who you mentioned earlier in the show, Villarreal. I don't know how to say her last name.
We're sorry, Beatrice.
We're sorry, Beatrice. I'm going to be doing a conference with her here in the UK. Her and I will be the guest speakers at a conference at an observatory. I'll have more information about that soon. But she's going to be coming to Edinburgh before that. So we're going to do a little tour of the city and then head to the UK conference. So that'll be a lot of fun. So
that'll be great fun.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to.
Yep, I'll have more info on that in the future for sure.
Yeah.
Richard, you ever find evidence of testimonies from New Yorkers about the power outage in NYC during the Brooklyn Bridge UFO abduction? No.
Oh.
No, I know that was a huge blackout. I mean, it's, iconic. It's a part of New York history, and just so happened to coincide with one of the most controversial UFO abductions of all time, the Manhattan alien abduction. So, no, Richard, but interesting nonetheless. Thank you for asking. This one's for you, Suzanne. Do you see that alien hiding and peeking behind you? What's the story behind that?
Here's my pet alien. I don't know if can you see him?
Zoom in on that.
See my little pet alien?
Aww.
Suzanne's
pet alien.
And this, I need a name for him. Put in the chat what you think his name. Maybe it's a girl. It might be a girl. I don't know.
That's gonna be our mascot, guys. Name the alien.
Name this being. Yep.
Peeking alien. I love it.
That's the mask that I was playing with the very first time I was on with you.
Yes.
I had him on a stick and I was hiding,
Wow. Memories. Wow.
Been a minute. Yeah.
It's been a minute. All right. What else do we have here? That's all I have in the start. Let me go to the live chat, Suzanne.
Okay.
And then we'll start to wrap things up. I know we're going a little over 2 hours here. More questions answered. Let's see. Hello. Haunting Human Studio is here. I arrived late. No worries, my friend. This will live in perpetuity in the archives. Sir Gosbo is here. Hello, hello. Love it, love it. Love the megasodes, Joseph says. Yeah, so that's what I'll do. Once I get a collection of like, I don't know, 7 episodes of witness accounts, I'll jam them all together and give you a big megasode. A lot of people say like, oh yeah, I put it on when I went to sleep and like it got me through the night, or I put it on while I cleaned the house. It was like 4 hours of just witness accounts. And I love like providing that.
I love them, but I can't watch them when I listen to them when I sleep because I'm up listening, and then I'll make a note, and then I'll Google something related to my brain. It turns my brain the wrong way to go to sleep. So
that is such a good point. So many people tell me they listen to my show to fall asleep because of my voice, because it's a calming. I have a calming demeanor. I know my octave is a little high, a little higher than most men, but I do find that as a compliment, but at the same time, I'm like, I hope you're paying attention. I put a lot of work.
There's a lot of information, right? Well, for me, it works the opposite way. I just need to listen to these during the daytime.
So the reason I'm looking at my phone, I'm not ignoring anyone. I just started listening to this podcast called Sleepy.
They tell stories?
Amazing. So this guy just reads books from the public domain, and he has the most soothing voice you can think of. Wow. I've used it for the past 2 nights, and I swear to God, boom, I just conked out. And it's amazing. So if you guys have trouble sleeping at all, there's so many different ways to like try to deal with issues like that. I know listening to stuff helps some people, or like listening to music, meditating, taking sleeping aids of some sort. But yeah, for me, I found my new drug, and it's the Sleepy podcast. So shout out to them. I'm gonna have to see if they want to do a little crossover of some sort. I'll tell a UFO story on Sleepy, and he can come over and tell a story for us. I don't know.
Yeah. But, Robert Chafee says, "Oh, what does it say? Counter tenor is good, Ryan. Must be similar."
I love that counter tenor. That sounds about right. I don't really know the different pitches or whatnot in music. I failed music when I was in school.
What?
I took voice lessons for years, and I can't read music at all.
Really?
Not at all. I've been in musicals. I've somehow just gotten my way through it by listening and like just figuring it out. But I couldn't read music to save my life. So
that's surprising. It is its own language, though, isn't it? It's its own language.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful language. And I respect the hell out of it. I'm just not good at reading it or understanding.
One of those things too. I think the earlier you start, like any language, the easier your brain does it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I could listen to you talk all day. That's very nice, Robert. All right, I'm going one more time to see if I missed anything, Suzanne.
All right.
Do you have any questions for me? I'll throw one back at you.
I don't think so. You're talking about me? No.
Yeah. No, you're good. Okay.
I'm good.
Start earlier, Robert says.
Start earlier.
I would, but dude, I try to hit that sweet spot for every time zone. It's a little late over here in the UK. I get it. 9 p.m. We're going on 11 p.m. right now. But, it's only 4 p.m. in the States, and it's even earlier on the West Coast. So I don't know. Maybe in the future we'll try a different time, but this one seems to work pretty well for us.
And it leaves the Aussies out no matter what we do. We have a lot of Aussies, the Aussies.
I know.
It leaves the Aussie, no matter where we try to get it, they're on the wrong end of that time frame. And I don't know how Grant Levac stays up
Grant,
so late.
Dalen,
middle of the night. Yeah.
Violetta, I know as well as one of our listeners out in Australia. Like, I'm sorry, guys. We try. But that's why it lives here. You can watch it anytime.
That's right. That's right.
You just can't hear about flinging donuts at you when you come into a donut shop. You can't hear it live. Okay. I think we're good. On the questions. Thank you, guys. That was fun. We should do another one where it's just no news. We just flat out chat with you guys. You know what would be fun? Just bring in a few of our regulars.
Yeah.
Just have
that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great idea.
If anyone wants to come on a live stream and just chat with Suzanne and I, send me an email. Let me
Somebody
know.
messages. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in the future. The future. I'm going to get to that, Suzanne, but I'll let you go back into the chat to
Okay.
start to wrap things up. And we're going to talk
Ready.
about the future of Somewhere in the Skies in just a moment here. But thank you. Thank you so much again for your invaluable research and insights on all of this. And yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to you, is there somewhere they can do that? Or
Sure.
yeah.
Facebook, Suzanne Westerman Landers, Blue Sky, Suzanne Landers, and Instagram, I think it's C Suzanne Landers. I'm on Facebook and Twitter, mostly Twitter is C Suzanne Landers as well, but there's a lot of political ranting going on there. So you may not want to choose that option.
Try to steer clear of that. That's why I have wrestling
Yeah,
and
there you go.
UFOs.
There you go. Just stay in the
Yeah.
middle. Stay in
Yep.
the middle.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much as always. And we'll see you in the chat.
All righty. Bye.
Bye, Suzanne. All right, guys, we're going to start to wrap things up here. Thank you so much to all of our super chatters, super stickers. I didn't even check the Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal. So if anyone sent those, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Every penny goes back into making the show bigger and better and to support all of our efforts with all of this stuff. There's so many unforeseen costs. I can't even begin to detail it, but thank you. Thank you, truly. Thank you as well, James Craig. Appreciate that. I want to let you guys know what's dropping in just an hour in the UK time at midnight. A brand new episode of the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. We have coming to you guys. Dean Elizondo has returned to the show, filmmaker Dean Elizondo, to talk all about part 1 of his new documentary series, The Alien Perspective. This is such a unique documentary where all of it is sort of through the lens of an alien perspective. What would an alien intelligence think of us? It's really interesting, the people he's interviewed for this and the perspectives that he got from other people to bring us a possible theory on an alien perspective and UFOs and all of that. Had a fascinating conversation with him. We learned it's only part 1 of the series. Part 2, I should tease, part 2, I will be featured in. So be on the lookout for part 2 of the Alien Perspective documentary series in the very near future. But right now, you can go watch part 1 on Apple TV, on Amazon Prime, wherever you get those things. Just search for The Alien Perspective by Dean Elizondo, and we talked all about it on this week's episode. I actually have a clip from the episode where Dean kind of talks about what he thinks is lacking right now in the overall conversation with UFOs when it comes to these congressional UFO hearings, the mainstream coverage of UFOs, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and play this little teaser clip about what you're going to hear in just a few hours over on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. So let's give this a watch.
I look at the phenomenon in kind of like a menu, if you will. The photographs of the appetizers, and then you've got your salad. And the salad is the testimonies, right? Mm. That's where you've got people that are coming out and saying, hey, I know of someone who's seen this footage and seen these crafts and everything. I'm still actually craving more of a salad that I'm getting from the hearings. I really want someone to say, no, I was in that program. I touched the craft, or I saw firsthand, the dead alien bodies. So shy of them dropping a UFO tailpipe on the desk of the hearing, or an alien hand or something, that's the salad. Now we're going to get into the entree. And the entree are the people who are having disclosure and have been having it for decades. And these are the experiencers. And these are the people that have not had a seat at the table yet, which is very strange. So much can be gleaned from these people. So to sequester them to the sidelines and say, well, that's a whole other kind of thing, and we're not sure we want to talk about that, is kind of bullshit.
All right, guys, that's just a little sneak peek of what to expect on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast dropping tonight. One last thing for you. Like I mentioned earlier, we did a really fun tier list right here on YouTube where I rated, I guess you could say, over 60 UFO and alien movies. This was so much fun. I had a ball doing it. I stole it from a good friend and colleague of mine, Brisby, who's a YouTuber, a gamer, and she did a tier list on wrestlers. She recently got into WWE and wrestling, which clearly is the other half of my life right now. And I stole the idea from her. And I decided to do a tier list, and it was so much fun. So you can watch this right now, my UFO and alien movie tier list in the archives. Just go down to, I think, one of the last playlists on the homepage of the channel, or just go back into the videos and you can find it. It's got this thumbnail if you're watching this. A lot of fun. All right, that's going to do it. Man, it was a long mamma jamma tonight. So thank you, guys. Thank you to Suzanne for sticking around. Thank you to all of you for watching. A huge thank you once again to all of our super chatters, to Jordan, to Eric, to Pine Cedar, to Neil, to the biologists. Thank you, guys. Truly do appreciate all of that. But yeah, if you guys can't help the show out financially, never ever expected. Simply like, subscribe, share the show. That's all I can ask. And subscribe on wherever you get subscribe wherever you get the show. Yeah, you should do that. But also, please rate and review the podcast on Apple and Spotify. That helps us get featured on everything, and gets us seen by more and heard by more people. So that's going to do it. Love the tier list, Ryan. Thank you so much. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Raph. Thank you, Gareth. Thank you, Haunting Human Studio. All you guys. Sir Gospo. Love you guys. Stay safe out there. We'll see you next week. And I will leave you with our mantra as always. And that is to keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. And now I awkwardly try to find the outro video. And boom. Bye. Where's that lemon?